The air crackled with anticipation as passengers boarded Flight 747. The usual hustle and bustle of the airport seemed heightened, with an undercurrent of unease that was almost palpable. Among them was Dr. Benjamin Davis, a renowned cardiothoracic surgeon known for his groundbreaking work in the medical field. His boarding pass clutched in his hand, he moved with a sense of purpose. He was on his way to a prestigious medical conference, eager to share his expertise and learn from his peers. The anticipation of presenting his latest research filled him with a sense of pride and excitement.
Suddenly a gruff voice boomed, "Hold it right there! Sir, I'm going to need you to step aside." Officer Turner barked, his hand hovering near his holster, a clear sign of intimidation. His tone was authoritative, leaving no room for argument. Officer Michael Turner, known for his stern demeanor, stood before Dr. Davis, his face contorted in a grimace that spoke volumes.
Confused and humiliated, Dr. Davis tried to reason with the officer, his voice steady but tinged with disbelief. He showed him his ticket and boarding pass, hoping to clear up the misunderstanding. But Officer Turner was unmoved, his stance rigid and unyielding.
"Don't play dumb with me," he sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. "You match the reports of suspicious individual," he added, his eyes scanning the crowd as if looking for more targets.
The officer's words dripped with prejudice, a stark reminder of the biases that still plague society. His eyes reflected a deep-seated bias, a prejudice that was all too familiar to Dr. Davis. He had singled out Dr. Davis based solely on the color of his skin, a painful reality that many face daily. Despite the protests of other passengers, Dr. Davis was forcibly removed from the plane, his dignity trampled upon. The humiliation burned deep, a stark contrast to the respect he commanded in the operating room. The incident left him questioning the very fabric of society, wondering how far we have truly come in the fight against racial prejudice. His mind raced with thoughts of the systemic issues that allowed such blatant discrimination to occur, leaving him with a heavy heart and a sense of disillusionment. Weeks later, Officer Turner found himself racing down a rain-slicked highway, his siren wailing. He was responding to a domestic disturbance call, his mind already strategizing the situation. As he rounded a bend, his patrol car skidded on a patch of oil, sending the vehicle careening into a guardrail. The impact threw Officer Turner against the steering wheel, the crunching of metal a symphony of chaos. Pain lanced through his body as he struggled to regain consciousness. He could feel a warm, sticky sensation spreading across his chest, the grim realization dawning that he was seriously injured. As darkness crept in, he could hear the frantic voices of paramedics, their words muffled and distant. His life hung precariously in the balance. If you're enjoying this content, consider hitting that like and subscribe buttons below. It really helps support the channel and lets us know you're vibing with what we're putting out. When Officer Turner finally awoke, groggy and disoriented, he found himself staring into the concerned eyes of a familiar face. His mind was foggy and he struggled to piece together the events that had led him here. It was Dr. Davis, his surgical mask pulled down, his expression a mixture of professionalism and quiet disappointment. The room was filled with the sterile scent of antiseptic, and the beeping of medical machines provided a constant reminder of his fragile state.
"Don't worry, Officer Turner," Dr. Davis said calmly, his voice steady despite the turmoil brewing within the officer's soul. "You're at Mercy Hospital." The words were meant to be comforting, but they only added to the confusion swirling in Turner's mind. "You were in a serious accident, but you're in good hands now," Dr. Davis continued, his tone unwavering. The gravity of the situation began to sink in, and Turner felt a wave of panic wash over him.
Officer Turner could only manage a weak nod, his throat constricted with fear and shame. The memories of his actions, the prejudice he had shown, came flooding back, and he felt a deep sense of regret. The irony of the situation was not lost on either man. Here he was, at the mercy of the very person he had wronged, a cruel twist of fate that neither could ignore. The very doctor Officer Turner had so unjustly humiliated was now responsible for saving his life. Dr. Davis's hands, steady and skilled, had worked tirelessly to ensure Turner's survival. The weight of his actions pressed down on Officer Turner, his prejudice exposed in the stark light of the operating room. He realized that he had been given a second chance, not just at life, but at redemption. The road ahead would be long and difficult, but for the first time, Turner felt a glimmer of hope. As Dr. Davis and his team prepared for surgery, the atmosphere in the operating room was thick with unspoken tension. The air was heavy, almost palpable, as if everyone in the room could feel the weight of what was about to happen. Officer Turner, his body racked with pain, could only lie there helpless and exposed. His mind raced with thoughts of his family, his duty, and the uncertainty of his future. He watched as Dr. Davis moved with a quiet confidence, his hands steady and precise. Each movement was deliberate, a testament to years of training and experience. The rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor served as a constant reminder of Officer Turner's fragility, his life hanging by a thread. Every beep echoed the precarious balance between life and death. With each incision, Dr. Davis chipped away at not just the physical damage, but also at the wall of prejudice that had separated them. It was as if the scalpel was a tool for healing both body and soul. The surgery was long and arduous, a testament to the severity of Officer Turner's injuries. The team worked tirelessly, their focus unwavering despite the hours ticking by. Yet Dr. Davis remained focused, his dedication to his oath unwavering. He had sworn to save lives, and in this moment, that promise was all that mattered.
Scalpel, Nurse Kim said, handing Dr. Davis the instrument with a steady hand. Her voice was calm, a beacon of support in the high-stress environment.
The room was silent, save for the rhythmic beeping and the soft clinks of surgical tools. Each sound was a reminder of the delicate dance between life and death. It was a moment of reckoning, a chance for healing beyond the physical wounds. In that room, under the harsh lights, prejudices were being cut away, making room for understanding and compassion. Hours later, as Officer Turner began to regain consciousness, he was overwhelmed with a wave of emotions, pain, gratitude, and a profound sense of shame.
"You're going to be okay, Officer Turner."
Dr. Davis reassured him, his voice soft but firm. Officer Turner croaked, his voice hoarse. "S1, why?"
"Why did you save me after what I did to you?"
Dr. Davis simply smiled and said,
"Because that's what doctors do. We heal regardless of who our patients are."
In that moment, Officer Turner's world shifted on its axis. He finally understood the depth of his prejudice, the ugliness of his assumptions. He had judged Dr. Davis based on the color of his skin, failing to see the brilliant mind and compassionate heart beneath. The days that followed were a blur of pain medication and introspection for Officer Turner. He grappled with the consequences of his actions, the weight of his prejudice crushing him. He realized that his bias wasn't just a personal failing, but a dangerous force that had real-world consequences. He had treated Dr. Davis with disrespect and suspicion, denying him basic human dignity. The memory of that day at the airport haunted him, a constant reminder of his own capacity for hate. He knew he had a long road to redemption, but he was determined to change. As Officer Turner recovered, he began to see the world through new eyes. He started to notice the subtle and not-so-subtle ways in which prejudice permeated society, from casual stereotypes to systemic inequalities. He realized that his badge, meant to represent justice and protection, had become a symbol of fear and oppression for some. He knew he couldn't erase the past, but he could use his platform to advocate for change. He resolved to become an ally, to speak out against injustice, and to use his position to bridge the gap between law enforcement and the communities they served. When Dr. Davis visited Officer Turner one last time before his release, the atmosphere had shifted dramatically. The tension was gone, replaced by a newfound understanding and respect.
"I was wrong," he admitted. "I let my prejudice cloud my judgment, and I hurt you. I promised to do better, to be better."
Dr. Davis, ever compassionate, accepted his apology. He knew that true healing involved more than just mending broken bones. It required mending broken trust and dismantling the walls of prejudice. Officer Turner's transformation didn't end within the hospital walls. He returned to work a changed man, his interactions with the community marked by respect and empathy. He spearheaded diversity training programs within the police department, challenging his fellow officers to confront their own biases.
He became a vocal advocate for police reform, pushing for greater accountability and transparency within the system. He knew that change wouldn't happen overnight, but he was determined to be a part of the solution.
Dr. Davis, for his part, continued to be a beacon of hope and healing. He used his platform to speak out against racial injustice, to educate, and to inspire. He forgave Officer Turner not because it was easy, but because he understood that forgiveness was the only way to break the cycle of hate.
He knew that holding on to anger and resentment would only poison his own heart. He believed that everyone deserved a chance at redemption, that even in the darkest of hearts, a flicker of hope could ignite change.
The story of Officer Turner and Dr. Davis is a powerful reminder that prejudice can have life-altering consequences. It highlights the importance of looking beyond superficial differences and recognizing the inherent humanity in every individual. While their story offers a glimmer of hope, it also underscores the urgent need for continued dialogue, education, and action to dismantle systemic racism and create a world where prejudice is a relic of the past. It's a world that Dr. Davis and the transformed Officer Turner strive to build, one interaction, one conversation, one act of forgiveness at a time. If you have enjoyed this content, give that like button some love, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe. Thanks for being part of our awesome community. Catch you in the next video.